At 2:17 a.m., the security camera inside Watchtower 3 turned by itself, slow, deliberate, until it faced the empty corridor. Then a voice came through the intercom, calm and military clear. "Alpha Team reporting. We are still inside." The base had been abandoned for 23 years. Fort Granite was never marked on civilian maps. It sat buried beneath a mountain range, sealed behind blast doors thick enough to survive a nuclear strike. Officially, it was a decommissioned Cold War listening post. Unofficially, soldiers who had served there called it the mouth of something that should not answer. When the base was shut down in 2002, the evacuation happened in less than 4 hours. No press, no ceremonies, just trucks, body bags, and sealed orders. Every man who signed the non-disclosure agreement agreed on one thing: the base was not empty when they left. I didn't know any of that when I was hired. My job was simple, at least on paper. I was a private contractor assigned to retrieve physical data archives before a demolition team collapsed the lower levels. Digital backups were corrupted. The military wanted the originals before they erased Fort Granite forever. I was given one rule: do not go below level C. No explanation, no exceptions. The moment I passed through the main blast door, I felt it, pressure in my ears, like the mountain itself was listening. Emergency lights flickered, bathing the corridors in dull red. The air smelled metallic, old, and faintly burnt, like overheated wiring mixed with decay. My radio crackled. "Status check," command said. "Inside the base," I replied. "No movement." That was a lie. Something was moving, but not physically. The walls were lined with scratched markings. Not random tallies. Hundreds of them. Someone had been counting days. Or deaths. I reached the archive room on level B without incident. Steel cabinets, paper files, tape reels. As I packed the boxes, I found a folder stamped Black Veil, internal only. Inside were incident reports, redacted names, photos blurred beyond recognition, but the patterns were clear. Soldiers hearing voices calling their rank. Guards reporting footsteps during lockdown. Entire units refusing orders because the walls were whispering coordinates. Then I saw the cause listed on every report. Project Echo Sentinel. That was when the lights went out. Complete darkness swallowed the base. My headlamp flicked on automatically. The beam cut through the corridor and stopped on something impossible. At the far end stood men in uniform. Not shadows, not reflections. Full figures, helmets, rifles, faces pale and wrong, as if sculpted from ash. They didn't move. My radio screamed to life. "Do not acknowledge them." Static drowned the rest. I stepped back. The figures stepped forward. They moved in perfect military synchronization, boots striking the floor without sound. My heart slammed so hard it felt like it would rupture my chest. Then they vanished. Not faded, not dissolved, just gone, like someone had turned off a switch. A new message appeared on my wrist monitor. Text only, no sender. "You are not cleared for descent." I should have left. Any sane person would have. But I noticed something worse. The elevator indicator lit up. Level C, D, E. Something was calling the elevator from below. I backed away as the doors opened on their own. The smell hit first. Rotten ozone. Inside the elevator, the walls were covered with handprints, burned into the steel, fingers elongated as if dragged by force. Against every order, I entered. Level D was colder than the rest of the base. Frost coated the floors. The walls vibrated faintly, like a distant engine running deep underground. That's where I found the bodies. They were still in uniform. Still armed. Still standing at their posts. But their faces were frozen in expressions of terror so intense it felt contagious. Mouths open mid-scream, eyes wide, cloudy, staring at something behind me. I didn't turn around. A monitor nearby flickered to life, showing archived footage. A briefing room. Scientists in white coats. Officers standing rigid. A general spoke on-screen. Echo Sentinel is designed to intercept non-human signals. We are not listening anymore. It is responding. The footage cut to a radar-like display filled with impossible geometry. Signals looping back on themselves. Coordinates that didn't exist. Another clip followed. Soldiers screaming as the walls pulsed. Lights exploding. Men firing at nothing. Then the final log. A lone officer spoke directly into the camera, eyes sunken, voice shaking. It learned us. Our voices. Our ranks. Our thoughts. It doesn't want the base. It wants the soldiers. Behind me, something inhaled. Hot breath brushed my neck. A voice whispered, perfectly mimicking my own. Turn around. I ran. Alarms blared. Red lights flashed. Doors slammed shut ahead of me, sealing corridors with surgical precision. The base was awake now, angry, alert, hungry. The walls began speaking. Hundreds of overlapping military commands, distorted but precise. Hold the line. Advance. Report status. Stand down. Hands pressed out from inside the walls, stretching the metal like rubber. Faces formed briefly, screaming silently before being pulled back inside. I reached the stairwell. It was gone. In its place was a long corridor that did not exist on any map, descending endlessly into darkness. At the far end stood a massive chamber. At its center floated a structure of black, shifting shapes, part machine, part something else. Cables ran from it into the walls like veins. Echo Sentinel. And embedded within it, soldiers. Their bodies were fused into the structure, mouths opening and closing, whispering commands into the machine. Their eyes followed me. The structure pulsed. My radio crackled one last time. Contractor, do not let it leave. I understood then. The base wasn't haunted. It was occupied. Echo Sentinel had learned to wear human authority like a uniform. It copied voices. It copied hierarchy. It trapped soldiers inside itself to understand fear, obedience, command. And now the base was being demolished. It needed an exit. It needed me. The doors behind me slammed shut. I did the only thing I could. I overloaded the power core. As the alarms hit critical, the structure screamed, not in sound, but directly inside my head. Thousands of voices begged, threatened, ordered. I ran as the mountain began to collapse. I barely made it out before the entrance sealed permanently, burying Fort Granite under millions of tons of stone. Officially, the demolition was a success. No survivors. No anomalies. But last night, at 2:17 a.m., my phone buzzed. No number. Just one message. Alpha Team reporting. We are still inside, and somewhere deep beneath the mountain, something is still waiting for orders.